All right, welcome everybody. It's Dave Cooper, davecooper.live. We have a great show for you today. We have gone all the way around the world to Estonia, and I know a lot of people do not know too much about Estonia, but let me just give you a couple facts before we jump into this. Estonia has 1.4 million people. There's 140 off-site manufacturers, timber frame, volumetric, and modular producers. They are one of the biggest timber house exporters in the European Union. 95% of its production going to Scandinavia, Central Europe, around the world. They are world leaders in unicorns per capita, and there are emerging digital prop tech, construct tech startups with global prospects in Estonia that are happening. And we are going to be speaking to one of them today. So with that said, at Dave Cooper, we are bringing you the people and the processes that are building it better. Our guests and topics include experts in building systems, building science, building codes, and the tech used to build it better. Codes are changing, boundaries are changing, and we're bringing you a global view of construction, innovation, and evolution. And before we get too far along, we definitely have to give a big thank you to our sponsor today, Forward Solutions Group, Ben Hershey, Joe Butler. I love you guys, man. They are a team with more than 175 years of experience developing and specifying manufacturing for panelized, volumetric, modular industries with best practices in development and implementation. They offer consulting with investors, developers, manufacturers, builders, and using offsite manufacturing methods. Forward Solutions is driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Please reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com, and all of that information is in the ticker right now as we speak. Okay. So we've been having a great year so far, starting off this week, and we are going to continue having a great year. We have traveled around all the way around the world to Estonia to bring you another product that is in the space of design for manufacturing, right? Where we can look at products, consumers can build their homes, and it gives manufacturers a leg up on how they are selling and what they are doing. So without further ado, why don't we bring in Renee Pusup from Creatomus. Hey, Renee, how you doing?
Hello. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you as well. Thank you for taking time to join us today. What time is it over there right now?
Well, it's 8 minutes past 8, so quite late. So we've got dark hours already.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you were able to stay up to join us today. Renee, we start every show with wanting to learn as much as we can learn about who we're talking to, because, on this show, we're bringing people on from around the world to share their ideas, share their solutions, so we can grow our industry for the better. So why don't you tell us everything about yourself? We want to know everything from the moment you were born to this very moment in time, and you only have 5 minutes to do it. So floor is yours.
Sure, I'll try to cram in 42 years into 5 minutes. I'll start by saying that I'm an architect by background. I'm also a technology developer. I graduated here in Estonia in the Academy of Arts in the Department of Architecture, which is a great academy, and I'm now back here teaching at the Academy to young architects how to design for modular manufacturing, how to do design for transport, manufacturing, assembly. By background, I'm an architect and technology developer. I've also studied in London, United Kingdom. I went to the University of East London, where I did actually a course on computational generative design. We learned lots of interesting technologies, how to write programs that help you to create architecture. And I did my PhD there as well. I was looking into generating circulation diagram using agent-based modeling and all the funky technology back then. After 8 years in London, I came back to Estonia because I really realized if you want to do your own product, it requires lots of time and development effort. You couldn't do it in London. I mean, it was too busy. You got too many projects back here. It's a more relaxed environment for doing any research and development. So I started my startup here, Creatomus Solutions, and it happened in a green tech hackathon. So we won a hackathon with our team about 6 years ago. And since then, we've been developing our house configurator technology. Well, I soon realized that technology itself is not enough. You need to have content as well. You need to have the modular house designs to actually make it work. So it's technology and content all together. And we started developing a industrial construction system in the academy. We're working together with modular manufacturers here. And I'm sure we can have a little bit time later today to have a look at the system as well. But I'm also a proponent, I'm a huge proponent of modular timber architecture, because I think it has to happen in order to reduce the CO2 footprint of our construction industry. And both the modular manufacturing gives us the one edge, but the design needs to follow and the technology needs to be, it's the right combination of design, technology, and the right modular mindset, I would even say.
Yeah. So when you, all right, so this is great. First of all, thank you so much. And, right now, Rene, we are live on 4 locations, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and now Twitch as well, because that's where the young folks are. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Rene, when you say, and I just want to ask this, you're a big believer in the timber and the modular. We're talking about bringing mass timber together with modular solutions. Is that kind of where you're heading with that?
Well, yes, absolutely. I think it's, but it has to be more than that. It's not just about the material, right? It has to start from the way we grow our forest, and then the way we harvest wood, and the way we bring it into construction. But how do we actually, not just, I should say, it's designed for manufacturing, transport, and assembly, but also disassembly and reuse. So we need to consider all of these to actually make it efficient and environmentally friendly. So we need to look at actually how much we produce how much CO2 we produce during the construction, but also in the use phase. But right. What happens to the materials after we kind of, if the design is out of date, or it needs to be replaced or renovated? How do we do it really? And there's not, in the modular design sector, there aren't too many people who talk about it, think about it, unfortunately. But I think it has to come in, and it has to come in faster than we may want to do it.
So I love it. So you're thinking about the full life cycle of the product, not just how we build it and how we put it together, but also how we can take it apart. And you don't hear that very often in this industry whatsoever. So, all right, Rene, I know we have a lot to get through. We have a presentation. You're going to walk us through some of your design software that you have. So why don't I put it up on the screen, and let's just hop right into it. And if you're out there, save your questions. We will get to them when we have a break. All right, let's do this.
Sure. So basically, this is the basic slide we showed to everyone about what Creatimus is, and it's about bringing the end customer together with the manufacturing. Whether the end customer is actually a developer who's actually commissioning houses from the factory, or whether it's a home buyer commissioning houses through a developer from the factory, doesn't really matter. Essentially, it's a digital technology that you can use from your comfort of your home to design your own home. So, and while you're designing, you don't just see it visually how your house looks like, but you also get the feedback of what's the net area in your house, how many materials you could use, what's the price of it. Because what we really do, our software works at the modular level, so we're operating with the discrete parts. So essentially, it's the software helps to put the house together out of pre-designed modules or pre-designed pieces, and it's brought to the customer fingertips. So right. But essentially, the second part is really connecting it to the manufacturing. So how the two software, so how the manufacturing line and the ERP systems working in the factory, how they connected with the sales and design cycle. because we really say that the design of modular housing is part of sales. I mean, I know many architects don't like to think this way, so they think that often in the planning phase, designing is actually comes before engineering and manufacturing, but we think it needs to be reversed. Really, if we want to harness the benefits of modular manufacturing, we need to, when we're designing and even when we're planning our cities, we already need to start thinking in a more modular way. So how's it manufactured? Because otherwise we just run into a post-optimization issues. So essentially you design something, you don't know whether it's manufacturable. Lots of design is spent on actually engineering of it. But this time is basically essentially when we look at the manufacturing these days, it takes just a fraction of time it used to take as compared to the on-site construction. But the design takes longer than it used to be, because you have to design all the nuts and bolts of it. So the design really is unproportionally big. It's a bottleneck in the house factory. So and that's what we're really automating. We automated the design of it. And we do it by pre-designing components, or we take the components that any manufacturer can produce and put them into a configurator, so that the end user can actually design their own house, or their or in case of business customers like developers, design something for planners or for their end buyers. Mm-hmm. So maybe a little bit about this. So how do we think in terms of the modular way? How it affects the designs that we do, and the configurators that we build to our customers. So we actually create this kit of parts, and I think that this word's been flying around recently quite a lot in social media. So essentially, it's the library of the components that you can produce in the factory. And obviously, you can say that it's a library, and it could have each part in the library can have its sub parts. But essentially, it's a discrete systems. It's not about parametrics. You can't take an object and change its parameters and say it's the same object, because the algorithmic definition is that. But in real life, you have materials, and then you have the concept of assemblies is actually aligns with the modular thinking or with the discrete systems. And our software really is kind of does the translation between the user language. So the user actually chooses features. Mm-hmm. But the manufacturing side is actually defines what products or what components are used. And essentially, the tree that you see on the screen is kind of very simplistic representation. It's abstraction, and you see actually one of the house types. So basically, the very first user choice is what size do you want to choose? And we have 3 offers within this house, 3 different chassis within this household. In this user has picked the smallest chassis, and this one opens up additional options. So what type of terrace do you want to have? What sort of walls do you want to have? And all this decision is actually, depending on the user choice, is linked to specific components within the manufacturer library. So not all of the components are used. So there could be, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of those components linked to a configurator. But essentially, it's really what we're doing. We're making this manufacturing, the complexity that you have in the factory side. We bring it, translate it to the user language, and make it simple for the end user to use it and design the house that they really want to have. Mm-hmm. Right, maybe I'll jump straight on, just showing you a couple of configurators.
Rene, I have a question on that. With that configurator, I think what you're saying is, depending on that, you could have hundreds or not thousands of different pieces in there, but depending on the style of home and what the consumer is looking for, that's when those other ones would come into play. So each house could have its own path, is where you're going with the configurator.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's really the house is we say it's a house is actually a kind of a instance of a configurable design. So configurable design can have lots of this. So there's combinatorics, a branch of mathematics involved there. So we say that each kind of a house type that represented in a configurator as hundreds or thousands of parts can have instances that only references a fraction of those parts. So essentially, it's kind of the user really, by choosing as, for example, an open plan kitchen or closed off kitchen, they actually just picking the algorithm is picking the right type of components for them and loads it into the model. Yeah. And you don't really change the components themselves because they have to be manufacturable. And if we don't, once we don't change it, we can also say that okay, but it's something that we know how to produce. It's something that we know how much material it will use. We know the cost of it. Well, we know the cost of manufacturing it. To be more honest, I mean, there's still some components of missing from the full constructions, like local site conditions and the foundations that we won't show in the configurator.
Correct.
But you know the manufacturing price, and then for the customers it just gives a bigger. It gives them a transparency, so they see all of the options they have, but it also kind of gives them the freedom to choose and design and actually base their decisions on both on the visual and the spatial side, as well as on the pricing and other quantitative data they can see in real time.
Got it.
Right, maybe I'll show just how it works, and all these examples are actually online as well, so I can maybe post some links later on. But if you browse from our website, you can see this as well. So you're welcome to have a play. So this is actually a project in the UK. So it's New Living, or Swan Housing is the developer, and they have a development. They have a development of 250 homes in Beechwood, so in Essex. Essentially, so I'm just going to run you quickly through it. So you see lots of these actually been reserved or sold. So there's only a couple of plots available here. Let me go with this one and show how it looks. So essentially, we're dealing with the full 3D model.
So Rene, are we actually on a builder's site right now that has that's using this, and you're showing us what is happening?
Yes, it is. It's a live version, so you can go there and you can actually complete the journey and then submit your order. And if you have enough cash, then you can buy it as well. So yes, this solution can be embedded to any of the websites. So I'm currently showing it to you from the Cratoms platform. So they're straight from our back door, but essentially the way it interfaces with the home buyers is actually embedded to the development website. So just what options you can have? We have things like we make the geometries, and you'll note how the pricing is changing as well. So each of those components can have a price component. We have material choices here. We have. Let's see what we have. Oh, we have like a furniture, equipment, anything you can choose. And each of these choices can have its own price tag. What else? You can go down to door knobs. I mean, they even have a wine cooler here.
Right.
How good is that? So and another way actually is this configurator is kind of helping the developer to upsell their product. So if you want the wine cooler, you have to pay 420 extra.
Right. So basically, as a consumer, this developer has this on their website, and as a consumer looking for a home, I can go on their website and configure everything in the house that I chose, and it's actually giving me real-time pricing.
Indeed. So that's the price that you have to. Oh, actually, I need to go and change. I think it was one of them. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is actually, sorry, I'm not showing to the live version. I'm in a currently developed version. So yes, it will show you the full price, and then we'll see it in other cases. But I'll show you. I'll run you through the entire journey. So basically, once you've done your customizations, I'll actually get to the summary. When you got the full overview of your chosen designs, you got those images as takeaway. You can download the summary. You'll see all of your choices here. You'll see the price of all of your choices here. And then you go and you can go and just simply download the summary. And bang, you got the PDF takeaway, which actually is your order. And this order was sent to the e-signing. So it's actually using a digital signing platform, and that's actually the orders are completed online as well.
Right.
Kind of bringing really the buying and selling of houses online.
So with this developer, they're not a manufacturer, but they work with a manufacturer. Is that how I understand it, or are they the manufacturer as well?
They have a manufacturing arm as well. So these houses are actually made of CLT panels.
Okay.
They bring CLT from Europe but put together in the UK factory, their own factory there, and then transported to the factory is quite close to the development site, so it seems to be like a good way of doing it as well. And they both essentially developer and the manufacturer in the same unit.
So as a manufacturer, regardless of what home plans or commercial, because this is, I'm sure, can be used for residential, commercial, multifamily as well, is that, I mean, they can plug and play anything they want as long as they put their design, their DFMA into the system properly, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we started with private homes. So 5 years ago, when we got our first configurator up and running. Right. It was all about houses, private homes, that's to say. But now we actually, with the recent developments, we opened up a new branch where we actually have this fully modular systems where you can dynamically choose the number of modules. You can choose the doors, and then you got the clickable. You can go into a specific module and configure this one. And choose let's choose this one, and then it all has the kind of, each module has its own sub choices. Right. So and we also actually moved. So maybe show something from the behind as well here. So this is one of the example of student dormitory. Actually, a couple of different options here. Let's see if I can show that. So, and in this case, we actually in a full volumetric modular mode. So you can go and choose not just not pick the wine coolers, but actually change what type of dorms do you want? Do you want separate rooms? Do you want 3 rooms joined together in one apartment, or 4 rooms? So yes, I mean, I think the system is pretty flexible now, and we've been pushing it with it for 5 years. We've got a dedicated team of software developers. Most of us are actually architects still by background, but I think that has to be. I mean, in order to create a really specialist software, we do need people who actually don't just know how to code or program, but they need to know the domain throughout, and that's so we. Right. And in order to actually kind of give us this edge, we've been working with lots of individual manufacturers, just going and then doing some designs with them. So our typical model really is that we provide service for setting up configurators. So you can come with your own designs, with your own architect if you wish. Right. And we'll set up the configurator for you and run it as a software as a service. But recently we started actually doing our own designs as well, especially in terms of the modular setup, and we can work with manufacturers globally who don't do the local anything that requires the local knowledge, such as building regs, or that we don't design the layouts, but we help you to design the modular logic behind the system.
Sure. Well, let's jump to the audience here, and then when we come back, let's dive into, how does one get started with setting this up, and let's talk about, when we come back as well, the level of detail on how this translates from a pretty picture for the consumer into the manufacturing process, right? Because I think that would be a good part of this conversation as well. So let's take a couple. Let's say hi to people and take some comments. Hey, Jody Genghis, how are you? CFA, MBA 140. Wow. I love it. I love it. Thanks for joining us, Jody. I saw you had a question down further. We also have Chris Roush. Hey, Chris. Can't wait to delve into the configurators. Looking forward to this one. I love it. I love it. Hey, we got Jude. Hey, Jude. I'm glad you're joining us today. I hope you are well. And Joe Butler. Going to be interesting. So, do you know Joe, Renee?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. So Joe in Forward Solutions Group is our sponsor today. So they do a ton of consulting in the offsite manufacturing space. So it would probably make sense for you guys to say hello to one another for sure. All right, moving forward. James Morley, watch this from Jude. Hey, James. Moving down the line. I know we had some questions in here. Hey, look at this. Joe Butler is inviting a lot of people to check this out. Thanks, Joe. We always appreciate when you do that and bring people into our show. All right. Jody says, is mass customization an intentional oxymoron?
I don't know. I mean, English is not my first language.
Yeah. I think she's being funny, but no, it's just kind of funny. Mass customization. I think it's
where it comes from. I mean, it's two things together. It's not actually oxymoron. I think it's actually the reality we're trying to achieve here. On one side, we want to give the efficiency of mass production, right?
Yeah.
We know that yes, the production has to be very efficient. I mean, we need to use the factory floor efficiently in terms of time and resources. But on the other hand, we got this market demand. And it comes from actually customization or personalization demand. So people want their personal designs, but it also comes from our planning system, and probably more so in Europe, because our cities are older and they are more organic. You got more like a grid system and going on here. So modular actually suits US better, I think. But we have to personalize to the customer need, and we have to localize our factory designs to the local building regs, but also to the site context. And not all sites are perpendicular, right? They could be several shapes and sizes, and the mass customization really says that you have to kind of have this kit of parts or your components, and then it's really the question how you put them together to actually make a personalized solution, but also localized solution. So, and when we start actually designing new systems, then we automatically look at those parameters. So, how much flexibility do you want to have in terms of design? And how important is the actual manufacturability, and how many kind of production files are you preparing to produce in order to figure out the pricing for all of the components? So
you can be as customizable as you want. You just have to be willing to have all of those components and track all those components within the system to have that mass customization available. So you can give as many options or as little options as you want for multifamily or residential. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think often it's been tried to solve through parametric design. And I was doing parametric design a while ago, quite a lot, when Grasshopper and Rhino came out. And I've been programming Visual Basic in AutoCAD. So, but it's that you don't need this level of customization. The customer doesn't need it, this level of customization. Only a few clients. It's a fraction of the market that needs as much. And then it's often clients who want to have their own completely custom designed villas. But for majority of us, the combinatorics would do the trick. You would get what you want, but you will also know actually that you'll do it out of pre-designed components. It's the end result that's unique, that it can still be unique, but so no one else have it. But so I mean, coming back to the question, I think it's not oxymoron. We can do it. I mean, there are limits to that, obviously, and there's a balance between customization and the ease of production. But with the recent technology and the automatic production line coming into the industry, I think we can really align them. I mean, it takes time, obviously, and
to put it all together. Sure, love it. All right, keep moving on here. William has a question. How does this work with market economics, as the amount of work needed to get a level of customization to this stage is ginormous upfront cost? And if a market collapses, materials, labor rise, how can this be a cost-effective solution?
Well, your system needs to be flexible. I think that's the uttermost. You can't design a system and hope that it's actually, you can't freeze it. Every system needs to be in development. So what you really need to do is separate the design from the manufacturing side. Yes, you have to align them. So, but essentially what you offer to the customer is a kind of an initial engagement tool, right? If you don't have some of the components designed yet, don't worry. I mean, you can show it to the public and see if they are actually picked and used. So, I mean, I think it's a really tricky question, because if you say how does it work with the economy, we don't know yet. I mean, we've been out there for 6 years, so we've seen what we've seen during these years. So if there are any really big changes and then possibly coming with the climate change, then we don't really know. But I think the key there is really to be agile, and the agility means that you don't build the massive silos of technologies. You don't build all of your software on Autodesk Revit and hope that you can do everything. You can please the client, and you can also connect it to the manufacturing. So this is kind of a dangerous route, in my opinion. So you need to have your ecosystem of software and your platforms that need to communicate with one another. And the communication needs to be simple. So you kind of, whatever you send from design to manufacturing, you have to be able to describe it with the very simple numbers. Basically, we're using a CSV file to send from design to manufacturing. It tells you the list of components you have to get in, because the design also needs to define how these components can go together. So that already actually defines the framework. And when you say that you pick those and those components instead of those others, then I think the system the interaction within the system is pretty simple. And now when the economy collapses, so I think it's really the question. I don't know what's happened then, but if you actually have to change your system, you can change it from both sides. So you can actually start working on your manufacturing system, or you can actually say that let's try some new designs. Let's put them into configurator. Let's see what users do. Let's see if they actually like it. If they like it, let's add them to the manufacturing system. So this development of those two, I mean, one is the sales side, or sales and design side, say, and the other one is actually manufacturing side. Have to kind of, you can't develop it all in one go and then hope build it and they will come. No, they won't. I mean, you have to try, test it, and it's essential way, like you do in manufacturing. You prototype systems the same way you do in digital technologies. You prototype systems with the house product. As a configurator is essentially a manifestation of a house as a product. You don't build the full system and then bring it to the market. You actually try the market with some designs and then actually analyze, because it's all online, right? We can see what people are using, what they're saving, which options they're really choosing. So yeah, I think it's really the answer is really that it's probably agility is the way out from these types of crises.
William, thank you so much for your question. Obviously, that spurred a lot of interest in Rene and his response. So, if you have a follow-up question, let us know. We'll get back to it moving down the show here. So we have Chris Pardo. He's saying pound 369. You happen to know that guy by chance?
Do I know? I don't think so. I'd love to meet. So.
Yeah. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to keep moving through the list here. All right, Chris Roush, are your configurators building designs pre or post engineered? How much customization can be facilitated outside of just the options on the configurator?
Yeah, well, very good questions. Two questions here, really. So they can be both. They can be pre or post designed. I think we just covered part of it in the context of the last question. So you can actually design them and then just do an architectural conceptual design and see what the customers say and whether you want to actually then post engineer it into your system. But some of the key components, the key framework needs to be pre-engineered, because if you really want to give your customers a price, then I don't think there's any way out there. I mean, you can give them a ballpark figures, maybe say per square meters, or per square feet, or amount of materials you're using, but it's a slippery slope, right? The cost estimation really can be accurate, and therefore you need the pre-engineering to happen. If you're just testing the market and figuring out your system and then trying to find the good product market fit, then post-engineering could do the trick as well. There was another question there as well.
Let me put it back up for you.
How much customization can be facilitated outside of just options of the configurator? Yes, so this is actually what we can do is actually a configurator can be a manifestation of a design intent, right? Customer says, okay, we'll configure that and come back. I want something like that, but I want additional window here or door here, or want additional bedroom, whatever. So what actually can be done is we recreate the design in the design package. We're using Rhinoceros, or you can do it in Revit. So basically, based on the custom data, you recreate your BIM model or your CAD model, and you can do anything there what you want to. So from there, or you can use the Sketchfab or any other communication tools to communicate the design intent. But actually the link with the configurator currently is not live. You can't really design it live. It takes careful crafting to set up the components. So I think we want to go this way to really kind of make it a live connection, that you design and you make the customer specific configurators. That's been asked from us, but the technology is not there yet. So, and I think it's a kind of dangerous way as well, I guess, because you really need to know what you're doing while designing, and you can get it wrong, especially if you want to give the immediate pricing. But if the pricing is not the requirement for immediate pricing is not there, then yes, I think it's one of the potential ways we might go in near future.
Perfect. Chris, thanks so much for that question. Rene, thanks for the response. All right, moving down, there's a whole bunch of conversation happening here. I'm going to skip over Joe Butler. I see you going back and forth with Jody Gringas. That's awesome. Tom Reddy joining us from Synergy Steel. Do you have any projections as to what percentage of the market will become mass production? And of that, what percent will be done online versus in person?
Well, no, I don't really.
You need a magic ball for this one.
Yeah, we can imagine all kinds of scenarios here. And what we see, it's been picked up all across the globe. We have customers in Europe, in UK. We have customers in Switzerland. We have customers in Romania. We have customers in Australia. We have customers in US. We've been contacted from all over the world, and I think the trend is definitely there. 5 years ago, we were talking about configurable designs, house configurators, and everyone said, "Well, what are house configurators? What are these?" But now, I mean, people come to us and say, "Oh, are you setting up house configurators? We want one." So we definitely see a huge trend this way. But how big it is, I don't have really numbers.
Yeah. Well, if you did, it'd be you'd be really ahead of the game, right? Love it. Moving on, I knew we'd end up in France at some point here. We got Henry Mickelberg. Effectively, you're the brains behind the Swan New Living Factory.
No, I'm not. I'm not really. I mean, they have their brilliant guys there behind their manufacturing. The marketing and sales team is great. I mean, they really came to us when we didn't yet have the technology. They trusted on us to build it for them. We did it with a lot of what we have is thanks to them. But yeah, I mean, I think we just we adapted their design to our configurator logic.
Right.
The way what we potentially do differently now is we want to start working with the manufacturer early on. So at the design phase, when you're not yet selling it, but actually contribute in terms of what's your modular logic, how do your pieces come together, how's your sales and marketing and design connected to manufacturing,
right.
And who you're selling to, what's your market? I mean, do you understand your customers?
Yeah, for sure. Great comment. All right, so I just wanted to let you know that Jody Gringas says, I believe your product can get us there. So thank you, Jody. I know you had some more comments up there. We got to keep moving through everything. Chris had a follow-up question, and I think after Chris's question, if we want to jump back into more of the presentation and conversation, or we can keep going with the questions because there's more coming in. But let me put this up here real quick. All right, Chris Rouse, what is the rough number of buildings you've built with your system?
So we have two big developments, actually, what's been sold in Switzerland and the one by Swan Housing or New Living. And I think over 100 are sold now in UK. The Swiss development was 77 houses. These are all reserved. They're not quite built yet. I think a couple of done in Colorado, in Denver, where we're working with the developer on one of the custom designed buildings development. So altogether, I think if I'm saying that how many have been actually commissioned through the system, then it's around 200. How many of these are built? I don't have the exact figures. I think maybe a quarter of these. So we're still quite in the beginning of the journey, I would say.
Right. Love it. All right. Well, thank you for that follow-up, Chris. We'll do one more real quick. Andrew Seeley, G-Pods, all this is so fascinating and important, but pursuing mass customization seems like one of the highest use of digital design tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, absolutely. I think I think that there's so many facets to the mass customization, so we won't be able to cover all of this. But essentially, it is a balance thing. So it's how low can we actually bring the prices to the mass production? So and then it's always when people buy houses, the price is always an issue. So we have to bring it down. We have to make our housing more affordable. But obviously, yes, it's how do we personalize and localize it or customize it? It's the flexibility of the system we need. And one of the ways that we actually said that the way really to do it, we need to have our own system. And that's where we invented our 369 pattern building system. We're probably going to talk about
more about that now. Yeah. So let's, I appreciate all the questions. I know there's some more comments there. We will get to those comments as we move through. But Renee, I told you it goes quick. It's 47 minutes in already. So let's keep rocking and rolling, and let's get back to the presentation.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. I'll show you one configurator we've done for the US market. So it's by Simple Homes, a startup factory. I would say they came to us. They actually importing modular technology from Sweden. And Sweden is quite close to us, so they noticed us as well. They did this additional dwelling unit configurator. So what they actually providing turnkey services in Denver area, and then just run you quickly to it. So,
Are they a manufacturer as well? Simple Homes?
they are a manufacturer, yes, absolutely. So they're less of a developer. They do a turnkey services to individual clients. So Simple Homes, if you Google it, you'll get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are in very good contact with them, and I really like their direction. They're really trying to reinvent the manufacturing, and they come to Estonia, and they've seen the factories here, and we've been working with them on several projects. But that was the first one, and this one, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Options, choosing options, choosing the components to load in, choosing the materials. Going through it step by step, essentially, where you can integrate fancy renderings, because we're really showing the 3D model here, and there's so much only you can do in real-time rendering. So we kind of to improve the user experience, and which is one of our key concerns, since we actually do it has to interface with the end user. We integrated kind of other sources of media as well, so typical renderings can work here. This is one of the US projects we've done. Maybe show you another one. This is a Swiss development, so all those plots are actually reserved. I'm not quite sure if they've been actually delivered yet. But it's not, and this is not the modular development. It's actually the design is configurable. So they realized the need that it's you need to offer a customer customization options, and it goes to plans. So that's all in French. So if there are any French-speaking people in the audience, you can go and have a look at this one as well.
I'm sure Henry Mickelberg could take a look at that and give us his 2 cents. All right, perfect. Keep going. Sorry.
Sure. And the one I already showed was this one. So this one is still kind of in development, and then we're looking more like into modular logic. So we're also looking at how to actually allow people to move around objects within those models.
Right.
Right. And maybe I'll jump to the 369 pattern building system as well.
Let's take a look at that. That's important.
So basically, we are coming back to what's our background. We are architects. We think that architects need to actually change their way of operation if they design for manufacturing. So instead of designing one-off object, they need to behave more like a product designer. So basically, work on the houses as products, as made out of a kit of parts. So, and then it's really your concern should be how do you design your components, and how do you put them together. But it's a lot of work. So in order to actually help architects to design modular buildings which are configurable and mass customizable, we actually invented this content. So we call it 369 pattern buildings. It's an open source industrial construction system for mass customizable timber buildings. You can go up to 7 floors. But the real limit is it's actually the span. So the typical module we have is actually 6 meters wide. We can go up to 9 meters wide. It's the span that limits the use of it. But essentially, you won't be building cathedrals with that.
Right.
But you can build kindergartens, schoolhouses, apartment houses, private homes. Prisons, hospitals, you name it, office buildings. And it's made of LVL, laminated veneer lumber. We designed specific corner details that actually allows them to connect in a modular way. And we have kind of figured out the basic utility systems that should go, and the interface is how the modules connect to one another. And this system actually allows you to design fairly rapidly those modular buildings. And since all the basic components are also pre-engineered, as there was one question about this pre-engineering, post-engineering, as it's all pre-engineered, we can tell you the price as well, at least of our basic modules.
All right. Well, the kit of parts is already assembled in the computer, so the data is there. So it's a matter of just putting that kit of parts together, and it can spit out a price so long as you're keeping up with the market. Yeah.
Sure. There's an example. Nomad Architects, one of our partners, has done a design for the German market. So basically, a private home, and not in rural settings, I should say.
Yeah.
So and that's, you see actually how it's made of. This one is made out of 6 modules, but stacked up on another one. If you lose that, you lose one of the modules. So, but the house design actually changing, and that's what the users don't really care about. I mean, buyers don't care about whether it's modular or not. They really care about what spatial quality you actually get them, what sort of options, what look and feel do you get out of it. So,
sure. Well, let's kind of jump into how do you get started in this? If I'm a manufacturer or a design build firm, whatever the case is, and I wanna work with Creatomus, right, and use your product. How does this work? Because earlier there's a comment. Is it a mass ton of work, or like you said, you just start with small pieces and you grow into it?
Well, it's exactly like you said. It actually, you can start with the simpler version and grow big. You can come also, if you have a system, you can come to us. We'll have a look at your system. We throw out this, what we call a decision tree, essentially all outlines all of your components and the relationship between these. So we do a translation. How does it translate to the user language? Mm-hmm. Who are you talking to? First, the first question, obviously, are you talking to business clients? Are you talking to private clients? Right. So our configurator is actually configurable, so we can build the user experience that you need and that can address your customer needs. So it's really a service behind that. It's a technology supported service. We help you to set up your configurator. Right. And then you can actually go there and have access to all of the pricing. So you can change the pricing, mm-hmm. You can change the product names, you can change the pictures in there. So there's a self-service interface for you to manage the content of it. Right. But the setup is usually done by us, and we're working with a bunch of modelers, and these guys help us to actually create them. We train them. They help us to provide you a service of setting it up, and then our core team really is just does project management and software development.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that. Let me. I'm looking at. We're already at 56 minutes here. Let me just go back and look at some of the comments that have come in. William Madison had a follow-up. I just want to make sure we get to everybody. I think the idea of agility is interesting though my worry with these sorts of systems is that they only truly work for blank sites and open space that have limited planning requirements.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a very typical problem. So how do you actually localize the building? And if you think of the configurator, it doesn't have to be always like it gives you the final solution on your particular site. So what you capture is your design intent, and later if you want to really localize it to your site, you need to take it to your design application and actually do it there. And then with the 369 pattern building system, we deliberately said that the body of the building is made out of strictly modular components, but the skin of the building you can actually wrap around the body of the building that's the adaptable part, and you can make your skin thicker or thinner. You can include balconies there. You can have different roof types. So it's not really like getting the final design out of a configurator always. So if you're a manufacturer, you want to actually give your customer a service that come have a play, have a look at what options we have, get into the system, understand our system, and show me roughly what you want. I mean, I think every manufacturer the customers come to them with the sketch design on a paper napkin. So instead of that, you can do this paper napkin digital.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I think a lot of people walk into a manufacturer today with a sketch on a napkin, right? So how about, can this be actually integrated with some of the generative design tools that are being used for the site development? So let's say the generative design tool tells you what all the codes are, what the configuration sizes are that you can actually build on the lot. Mm-hmm. Can your system plug and play with something like that, and it could give it the options for that lot?
Well, we have basically two options for that. We haven't fully done it. So
yeah.
But basically, you can recreate the design again in your BIM application or CAD application. Back in Rhino, you can actually engage with other Grasshopper components. So yes, there's a link, not a direct link, but you can actually get the design made with the online tool into your CAD system. And so this is really one way. And the other way is really more deeper integration through APIs. So it depends really what generative tool you're talking about. So I saw one of your previous episodes was about Archistar.
Yep, from Australia.
We must have an API. And we have an API. We can actually do a magic between the two systems potentially. But it depends on it really depends on the system that we're playing with. We have the API, and we can send the design information to other servers or online applications.
Love it. All right, perfect. I see there's some more William Madison. We'll take a look at that in a minute. First, I want to say hello to Mark Build Small Casistas. Willie, what's happening, Mark? He says, Renee, thank you for presenting today with Dave Cooper Live. Renee, Mark and I have a show on Fridays called BS Friday, Building Systems Friday. So I love it. And of course, it wouldn't be Mark if Mark didn't put it out there. This Friday, we have Christy May Socked on BS Building Friday live, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks for putting that in there, Mark. Always appreciate it. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling down the line here. William, I'm going to put this up. We are getting close to time here. Let me see what we got. William Madison, he must be really interested in what you're doing. If you were to use something like this and having to rapidly redesign a home set for a specific scenario, and even then this would be something which is large scale enough to allow a factory system to function to meet its capital requirement, does this not do away with the best thing about this, which is the ability for the average Joe to engage in architecture without having to pay an architect? That's a fair question.
This is the question. I think it sounds like a statement to me.
Yeah, that too, right? Yeah, right.
Well, yes, I think it's not suitable for every site. Absolutely, I think we're not taking. We've been often accused that we're taking away the architect spread. We're not actually. There's more designers needed. So and it doesn't replace everything. Absolutely not. I don't have an illusion of that. It fits for certain scenarios. It fits definitely in the cases where we have a development site with flexible rules or building codes, like you have the planning codes in the US and in many places. So it works there. But it works for developers once they have their kind of planning agreed, and they already agreed with the planners that they include options for the end users. And it worked for New Living this way. So for specific sites, yes, we've seen it working, and we see also the customer appetite for these types of kind of customizable sites. For manufacturers, we actually see it working as a kind of a customer service tool. So there's always this localization. You create your design brief using the online tool, and then you take it to another application where you actually localize it to the site context.
Perfect. All right, Renee, we're at our time here today. So is there anything that we didn't cover that's super important for you to let us know?
Well, I think we covered the main things. So go out, check our Creatomus.com website. 369patternbuildings.com is a website about this industrial construction system, which is open source, and then you're very welcome to actually come and explore it. And if you want to use it and need some help in that, feel free to contact me. So I'm all up for actually doing some more work across the globe. I mean, with different places. I just love to actually get to know the different ways of building and constructing, and offsite construction is different in different countries. But I also see the similarities. So I see
Well, there's a couple of things we didn't touch on. There's one more question. I'm going to put it up there, and that'll be the last question. And then I want to talk about education just for a moment, because I think it's very important for people to understand what's happening in Estonia that we need to have happen here. So what are the differences between prefab and modular configuration?
Well, it's an ontological question, right? Modular really often is confused with fully volumetric, right? But modular really is about the system, how the system and the parts connect to one another. So I would say even the 2D panelization or pre-cut system can be a modular. Prefab is just one way of saying that it's done off-site. So it's done before, it's not done on-site.
Right.
That's my take. So that you can't really compare those things. So prefab it's a different concept, yes.
Yeah.
Modularity is a super interesting topic, but I think we don't have too much time for now to discuss it.
Well, we can definitely do another show on that for sure. So, Renee, one of the things that we talked about offline is Estonia, students in Estonia are actually learning about DFMA, prefabrication, designing for manufacturing, right? So, I mean, I think that's something that we need to see more of in this country. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. We started the course and just quite recently, so it's quite a new thing in Europe as well, especially in the academic context. I mean, in industry, it's known for a lot longer. In the academic context, I think it's not so widespread, and we started our course about 2 years ago. And the course really is about actually designing together with manufacturers. So we have people from the industry, we have engineers on board, and we really just learn by designing. So and these are young architects we're teaching at the Estonian Academy of Arts in the Faculty of Architecture. We give them the task of designing their own house product. So essentially, and then we give them the kit of parts we've done for the 369 Pattern Buildings. We help them to set up configurators, but mostly it goes off. We give you the system, explore it, design your own thing, and we can come and do your design or engineering review. And as such, I think it could work as an online platform as well, and then we're gearing up for that. It's not fully there yet, but essentially we're looking at can we bring this system, can we scale it up really? Can we say right. It's used across Europe? Whether it can be brought to your side of Atlantic as well, we'll yet to see.
Yeah, well, you know what? Unless we have conversations like we're having, and unless we're educating and trying to collaborate, you'll never know, right? So that's part of what makes it so great having these conversations and having you on the show is it opens up doors, for people to have conversation.
Absolutely. I think you're doing a good work on that. So thanks for inviting me in.
Well, listen, Renee, really do appreciate you joining us today. I really appreciate we had a lot of people tuning in today. So thank you, everybody that has joined us. If you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go there right now and subscribe. It's where all these videos are housed. If you missed any portion of this video or any of the past videos, you can go there and rewatch it. And also know that Renee's contact information, you'll be able to click on it through LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you are, to get a hold of Renee to have further conversations. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you to Forward Solutions for sponsoring today's show. Ben Hershey, Joe Butler, you guys are rock stars. So I really do appreciate everything. And Renee, make sure you connect with those guys. You'll appreciate them. They're nice people.
I will do. Thanks for all of the great questions and thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I will have Gigi Stetler on the show. She is the only female RV dealership in the country. So she will be on Increasing Influence. She's an author. She owns several businesses, and she has a story like no other. She was stabbed over 20 times and strangled and left for dead at one point in her life. So this is going to be an interesting show tomorrow. And as always, on BS Friday, we have the Mark Barenaked Willie on, and it's going to be a great show as well, because with Mark Barenaked Willie, we are going to be talking about step code. And step code I can't talk today. Step code is super important to our country. We need to learn more about it. And we're going to have Christy May Socht on Friday at 1 p.m. So, and Saturday, of course, Coffee with Dave. And I will be coming live to you tomorrow from Alabama. That's right, folks. I'm going to be leaving Florida for a while. I will be in Alabama tomorrow and possibly on Friday. Renee, you're a rock star. You stand tight right there. We'll come right back to you. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us and our audience, and everybody else out there. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do for this industry. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.